Moving along, one of the ways I like to start as an economist is to dispel the myth, and we get this call all the time. I bought this land. How do I make it pay for itself in agriculture? And I have to be the one with the reality stick that says very few legal enterprises are those that are going to allow you to pay off land through ag production unless you're willing to put in a lot of sweat equity and convert that labor equity into something that you can market. It's just not the case anymore. Land is not priced based on ag profitability. It's based on recreational opportunities and profitability and tax management issues. I put a lot of resources in here that I'm gonna just flash up here, but I think they're important and useful to you. One of those being the Texas A&M Real Estate Center every year puts out a summary of real estate values clustered by regions and clustered by counties that tells you what the range of real estate prices are for different types of ag land. And really what's also valuable is it gives you a rental rate range so that you can see what the cash rental rate for different types and categories of land is as well. When you look at that rental range rate, that's pretty good indication of the profitability of profit potential of a lot of these different types of to land, because if I own the land and I'm going to rent it out, I'm willing to pay me just a little less than what I could have made on it if I had farmed or ranched it myself. That's economics 101. I'm going to extract as much as the profitability as I can, less the labor and what I would pay my operator labor. So you can take those rental ranges and add an operator labor type of component to it, or an estimate, and that gives you a realistic preview of the revenue and profit generation capabilities of different types of land in the state. So I think this is a good resource for land managers and owners to look at. It keeps you from being unrealistic in your expectations. If you go to the Real Estate Center, you'll see their page. You click on data, and it's a pull down menu. When you click on data, it'll say rural land is one of those options. That publication is called Texas Rural Land Value Trends, and they do it by year. You obviously pick up the most recent year. The publication will come up, and that publication includes all the regions of the state, and you can go down and find the region and the cluster of counties that you're most interested in. Every year they do a little summary of what's going on in the land market in different regions, the level of urbanization, the types of buyers that are coming in, whether they're ag producers or whether it's for recreational or residential purposes. So it's just a very useful product, and one I wanted to make sure you were aware of. The other resource I want to show you is Texas Farm Bureau's done an excellent job of organizing and categorizing resources, lists of information, list of educational resources that are pertinent to small farms and ranches and those getting started. This is the link for that resource, and this is an example of the hot links. I'll snicker every time I use that term. The different subject matter areas, you can click on any of those and it'll give you a list of resources, websites, fact sheets, all kinds of information that fit within those different topics. So again, part of this school, I think, is to not answer all your questions, but to give you the tools and empower you to be able to do some of your own investigation. These are two of the really good resources that allow you to do that. Now we go into the financial side, and real quick, and this is a very, very short summary of what I consider to be everything you really need to know about accounting and financial business management in terms of putting things into perspective. And I realize we have a lot of people who love numbers, a lot of people who can't stand numbers. But really, it all boils down to very simple philosophical type of a flow as far as money goes. And I'm going to start off with one income statement, which is essentially nothing more than a profit and loss. When I evaluate a new enterprise or a potential new enterprise, what I want to do is see if it will work on paper before I start spending money, paper out of my wallet on it. And in so doing, what you do is you project the income, potential revenue, you deduct the expenses that it's going to take to produce that revenue, and then you look and see what kind of profit or residual is left. This is no different than me collecting. I get a paycheck from A&M once a month. My wife spends the money every other day of the month, and I do too. And our goal as a family financial goal is to hopefully have something left at the end of that month. And that's called the residual. Our checkbook is essentially our income statement for our family. It's the same approach you would want to look at when evaluating any new enterprise. Project the income and revenue, project the expenses, and see whether or not there's anything left. You'll hear bankers, if you go to borrow money, all the main things they're concerned with is how much do you need and when will I get paid back? And how they determine that is they look at what's called a cash flow statement. And a cash flow statement is nothing more than sequentially listing those profit and loss statements or income statements by month and looking at periods of the time when the money's going to come in at harvest or at sale and what your monetary needs are going to be in each of those months. So a cash flow statement is nothing more than taking a series of profit and losses or income statements by month or by quarter and laying them out side by side to see over the course of a 12-month period, how does this enterprise net out? What times of the month do we need money? What times of the month, from the lender's perspective, can I expect to be paid back? Then we come to a kind of a different concept, and this is a little more in depth, and this is the balance sheet, or in a personal financial management context, the net worth statement. And it's basically assets and liabilities. An asset being everything you own, and what I add to it is everything you own that puts money back into your pocket, either this month or in future periods. To me, that is an asset, something that puts money in my pocket or appreciates in value. The other side of that is the liability side, and the liabilities are things that you owe, what you owe. Credit card bills, mortgage payments, auto loans, and those are really things that I think could be characterized as issues that take money out of my pocket every month or on a recurring basis, or items that depreciate in value. So putting those two together, and to me, this is what is from a financial standpoint, this is the challenge of being a businessman, being an agribusiness person, being a farmer, rancher, anything. We put those together and we say we have income come in, we have expenses go out, hopefully we have some residual left. How we manage that residual determines whether or not we improve our financial situation or it gets tougher as we go along. And if you look at this chart, what it's telling you is we take that residual, there's only one of two things we can do with it. We can acquire assets, and if we do, in future periods, we have more income coming in. Our expenses either don't go up or they don't go up as much as the income. So the net result is in future periods, we're better off. That's one route we can take. The other route is to handle that residual. We can acquire a liability, which it might be fun. It might be something bright and shiny, but it depreciates in value, or it adds, we got another bill to pay next month because we acquired it. And what happens in that situation is our income probably didn't go up, but our bills did. and so we're actually worse off in future periods. The challenge of management, the challenge of a farmer and rancher is to evaluate opportunities and select those that are truly assets. Manage our residuals so that in future periods we have more money coming in than expenses and we're better off, and to avoid those enterprises or activities where the opposite is true. So that's as far as you really need to understand to think about selecting and evaluating in between different enterprises. One of the things we have to talk about is there's a lot of different programs and opportunities out there. Specifically, if finances were one of those limiting resources, I would encourage any of you to go talk to your USDA service center in your area, and every county has one, or every county has a service center that services that area, and talk to them about their loans. There are a lot of different loan programs out there, from the operating side to the farm ownership side, the acquisition side. There's guaranteed loan programs where USDA will partner with a local lending institution to basically cheapen up a loan if you qualify. And I included this information on there just so that you would have kind of a list of different types of loans and their benefits and their eligibility and values. But your local USDA service center people have got to be a part of your management team to evaluate opportunities and financing options for you, especially if you're new or starting out. There are a lot of very attractive programs they have that will make the financing costs cheaper. So there's a long list there. I won't go into any detail on any of them specifically. There's a new microloan program, which I think is essentially for beginning farmers and ranchers, small farm family operations, and it's essentially about $50,000. If you qualify for that, you show a good idea. It's a very short loan process. I don't know if it's 4 or 5 pages long loan application, which is a miracle for the bureaucracy of government, but it's something you need to ask and inquire about. So I want to make sure you're aware of those.